Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for February 24th through March 1st, 2020. So before I begin, I'd like to thank everyone for their prayers this past week, as I have come down with a viral infection, which created this very painful cough in my chest. I still, it's much better, but it's still there. And so this week coming, as well as last week, I had to just rest. And so I'll do that this week as well. So I probably will not be doing the daily card messages this week, just so that I can catch up on my energy and kind of just get back into things slowly. And so I want to just thank everybody for everything, and to let you know that your prayers have been truly working and assisting me. And thank you for any continued support that you give. So let's take a deep breath. And let's connect in with our higher self. And we ask you to connect in with the wisdom of your soul. And just relax and let go. It feels like you really are wanting to move forward and to launch many of your ideas. And they're sort of showing me the God, what do you call it? The megaphone on the old record players, and it's sort of this feeling of your soul, or a part of you, is wanting to express itself and wanting to be heard. But it's very important to pay attention to your body. And this is the word they're writing, body, in the midst of this conversation. So it's very important that you pay attention to your body. And they want you to really focus on the light. So, it's just sort of get this feeling because they brought this up, but it feels like, our ego, our shadow side is just very vulnerable, and it's almost as if it's there's this internal struggle within that that the light of the voice, your voice of light, is wanting to come through, but these other things keep distracting you. You keep getting caught up in the ego, and maybe probably in defense of that. Or it could be that certain things just pop up that kind of that drag you sort of backwards, that you feel like you're trying to really move forward. So it's almost like that, like you feel like you're moving against the tide. And you're well, they're giving me a sense because they're showing me someone driving towards me. And this is a symbolism for me, in terms of that you are, when somebody's moving forward and they're focused, but it just seems like there's all this stuff around you. It's almost like a panorama. It's like I'm seeing sort of like this shell around you, like kind of like peacock wings, but it's not peacock wings, but it's the shell is sort of fanning out like this, and the feeling about that is that your focus, and it's sort of that megaphone, like your inner voice, your soul is sort of supporting you, and you feel it from behind or from within. You feel it prompting you in the direction forward. But there are things that as you're moving forward, and it may not seem like it to you, but you are moving forward rapidly in the sense that you're moving, because they're writing out the word light again, you're moving in this new vibration of light, this direction, this sense of purpose is guided by your inner light, the voice of your inner light. But at the same time, there is this ego that is pushing against this. And so you feel like you're not really getting anywhere. It may feel more like a struggle to you. And they just wrote the word forest as in, you can't see the forest for the trees kind of thing. But they want you to keep writing light. They want you to stay focused on the light. They want you to stay focused on the purpose. And this is not going to be easy because this purpose almost feels like a candle flame. And, it's like you don't have a sense of what the flame is trying to tell you. But every time you try to figure out what it's trying to tell you, you're looking for like verbal language, which light transcends this form of communication. And what you really have to tap into is the feeling, the inspiration, the sort of, think of like light and, like when sometimes you watch the candlelight and there's like little sort of flickers of light, sort of sparks that'll come up from the candle flame. And you're looking or you're being aware of this. This would be something like an insight, the sparkles, those sparks of light, be insights, inspiration, passionate impulses, to just come out of nowhere. And so the thing for you to do is, in order to stay in alignment with this, you really have to be still and not try to make sense of this with your mind, but with your heart. Because your heart is an even greater flame. And it doesn't stop burning no matter what we're dealing with in our lives, no matter what's coming up, no matter what contrast is, really trying to, or it's not trying to, but it just feels like the contrast is trying to limit us, right? We feel like we're being held back in some way. This is our take on life when things don't happen the way we want it to, or when it seems as though something is getting in our way, when it's just really an aspect of us. It's fear. Like, how would you respond to that if it were a child who was just afraid to walk down a path that they have to go by themselves, like the first day of school, right? This is these many rites of passage. How would we feel? How would you respond to the child's fear? You wouldn't shake it and threaten it. You would have compassion, and you would try to understand and try to get the child to talk about their feelings and what's going on, and then so that you can understand where they're coming from, and then you would begin to offer the insights, the warmth and the love and the reassurances that would help them to feel safe. So right now, your job is to help yourself feel safe as you just focus on the light and you trust in your faith that the light that is driving you to a purpose which you cannot seem to decipher, but that you trust that within that, with being present with it, that it will reveal itself to you. And don't look for it to so much reveal, but look for this moment of pause, because you don't know. Look for this pregnant moment to offer you so much more than what you think you're looking for. The moment is pregnant, if that makes sense to you. The moment of unknown is pregnant with many opportunities which will come out of the contrast of you feeling suppressed or held back in some way, even if it's just because you can't get the knowledge or the answers that you're seeking. The knowledge and the answers aren't somewhere else. It isn't coming from somewhere else. It's coming from the present moment. And that's the part that's eclipsing your mind. So let's really take a moment, just breathe and really take this in. Because when we are in a moment of uncertainty, when we feel like we're wrestling for a clue, a hint, we're wrestling for the unknown, this is the moment of opportunity. The moment is pregnant. The present moment is pregnant. You are trying to eclipse the present and reach into the future, where the present is where all of the seeds for the future exist in the present moment. The opportunity for growth. It's like in this moment, you have to embrace what is, no matter what it is, and take from it almost use the present as a sounding board to help you to find that perfect moment for you, that perfect opportunity. And do you get that sense of it's like having four walls and they're like sounding boards, and you're struggling. Your ego is projecting struggle within those four sounding boards. It's projecting that. And the more that you wrestle against that, the more you keep coming up with the same thing. And so now you have to look at, well, what am I wrestling with, and why am I wrestling with this? What is it that I want? Well, what is this? What is the relationship? What is this relationship that is opposing me? Why am I attached to it? What is it causing me to realize? Because it's causing you to realize something. Even if it's just causing you to realize with more conviction all the things you don't want, then start taking that list and creating what you do want from what you know you don't want. And see if that doesn't stir, and see if it hasn't already stirred a passion for you, a purpose. And in this sense, something to sort of, I don't know how I want to say this, but something to I don't know, I want to say sink your teeth into, like you're so, the feeling like it's like you're so outraged by something that you just want to tear it apart with your teeth. Like we criticize it, we complain. But instead of just complaining and criticizing, if you're that passionate, guess what? You have answers, because you cannot oppose something without having the answers for it inside of you already. The only reason you haven't found them is because you are stuck on resisting it. You're in a fight. You're in the fight, and you're not listening to what that fight is helping you to receive. It's helping to help you form a whole new set of solutions. So whenever you're in a moment of uncertainty, and that applies to insecurity or instability or whatever conditions you're dealing with, whenever you're in that moment, there is opportunity. But sometimes we're thinking only about where we want to go, which is in the future, and not realizing that the uncertainty of this moment is where your future is really drawn from. And that there may be something else that's being added to or taking you in a completely different direction. But you have got to be present with this moment. You've got to, at some point, realize you're wrestling with something for a reason. I mean, it's like you can't get that thing. It's like having a something stuck in your claw, and you just can't. You won't let it go. You won't pull it out. You just want to sit there and growl about it. And there's got to be a reason that you're enjoying this pain. I mean, it's hard to say it that way, but the thing is you're in it and you're getting something out of it. And boy, you really are. You just haven't realized the true reward you're getting out of it. And that's just one example, because it doesn't have to be so graphic or so dramatic. But sometimes, even when we're just use the sort of an opposite, just depressed, and you keep sort of cycling around this one particular thought that just holds you in that position, and there's a link there, and you feel uncertain. You don't know where you're going and if it's worth going any further. But if you were to dig into that, and every time you probably even say that, you feel even sicker to your stomach, because there is within that feeling that there's a pregnant opportunity within that feeling of light. And it's hard in those kind of conditions to want to embrace the light, because you just don't want to go. You just don't want to be anywhere near it. But if you would imagine, what would it be like to open up that seed? And what is one pearl or one gem of an idea of seeing yourself slightly different than what you are right now? And if what you imagine then can become a purpose for you, nothing has to be grand. The universe can meet you with a purpose wherever you are. They can give you an assignment no matter what condition you're in. That's the word they just wrote out to me. They will give you an assignment no matter where you are. But the thing is that we always eclipse them, because we think if it's not great enough, then you're not good enough. And sometimes we just think if it's not great enough, it's not good enough. And so we will continue to wallow. And so don't miss out on an opportunity, because the universe can use what you and I call great or small. The universe does not see this. And once you engage with that purpose, no matter how great or small you think it is, you will see how grand your life, your feelings, your how you feel about yourself, and your sense of purpose and meaning will change. Okay, so and they're showing me like, like two trees. So there was one very wide tree, and then there was two. And this is the first time, and second time I saw it for myself in a reading this week, and I wasn't quite sure what it meant. But in this moment, since the first time I've ever seen this, it feels like I want to say, because I don't want to go here. I know people want to think about this, but it's not a twin flame energy in the sense of a love kind of thing, a romance, but it's something with the universe. It's sort of like you finding your alignment with the universe, finding that equal alignment of support, which can come in the form of many things, people in your life, new friendships, new networks of opportunities. So, but this is an important thing because it's the first time I'm seeing it. And it does mean that some new level of support is going to unfold. And there's a card, the first card I chose here, I saw the word self. And so it'll be interesting to see in relationship to this vision what this means, because it's like we were, it feels like our consciousness was mostly focused on the self, and maybe somehow now it's going to have a different awareness of others in some way. It's a sense I'm getting. That we will, maybe the sense that we see each other connected. So as I saw these two trees, then I began to see almost like a three of cups, sort of like three trees, sort of together, that are linked together. You know, sometimes you see trees that look like the two have grown out of the same roots, or three, and it's sort of the same feeling or a vision, and it multiplies. All right, so let's take a look at the card for the Archangel for the week. And it's the Archangel Chamuel. So the card is peace. And it says, peace comes from remembering that only love is real. So Archangel Chamuel's name means he who sees God. And Archangel Chamuel also works with the heart chakra, the fifth dimensional heart chakra, which is a very pale pink. And we were working with that energy before. And so as he comes through, the feeling that I'm getting is that we need to sort of transcend the sort of situations that are weighing us down in some way. Oh boy, it feels like I have a different mouth and speaking a different language. Like English is like another language or something to me. And one of the things that I feel like he's really trying to help us is to open up our hearts. And through opening up our hearts, to open up our minds, our consciousness to other possibilities, other realities for our relationships. Something about our relationships is shifting with one another. How that dynamic maybe of just from the self to the one. And in that one, there is all. And so there's a sense of not just seeing just ourselves, identifying with just ourselves, but identifying with everyone as the self, as the one. And he wrote the word free or freedom. And this is going to free you up in some way. This is going to free up your mind and your heart, allow you to not get stuck, to not fight against the other. So it's this thing of where, and I know there was an energy in this week where I even found myself just just, the least thing, it was just like something that just set off and going on and on something. And so the thing is that there's this shift that's available to us to really set ourselves free. And this is something that I don't think that none of us has not tried to work on in any way, shape, or form. But it's something now that needs to be at the center of our spiritual practice. And that is to stop ourselves, do that stop, pause, breathe, before we judge another soul. Because that soul you are judging is you. Because we're all one, we're all connected. And there's such a freedom in this, he's trying to say, that when we see, because he who sees God, that when we say namaste, the God in me acknowledges the God in you. That I see God in you, I see me, I see you as an extension of me. And it's the same approach where we were talking about with the children a few moments ago. People, it's like everybody is on that sort of rite of passage, like a first day at school, like a child, and it's there's fear, there's uncertainty, and they are wrestling with those four walls in the same way you're watching them or watching someone else. When you watch, it's sort of a similar paradigm. For each of us, these four walls exist where we're wrestling with, something, and all it's trying to do is act as a sounding board for the light. Talking about that obstacle course thing again, to help you to find that point of light so that you can find that point of purpose and that point of balance where you can begin to move forward on something that your heart is ablaze about. So try to allow yourself to stop and see sort of this paradigm of the four walls, that no matter what this person is doing or how you feel about their actions, stop and see, stop, pause, observe, and recognize that each of you is in the same construct trying to get the same answers when all everyone needs, you and them, is to just breathe, to take in the moment, the pregnant moment of opportunity. And when they're struggling, they're trying to eclipse the present, and they're trying to reach into the future instead of being present with what is and letting that information help them find that purpose, that center. I'm going to say that word purpose right now means find that center for that present moment. Find that purpose. And then Archangel Chamuel was writing peace. Find that peace for the present moment. So he's using the word focus, center, purpose, and peace interchangeably here. For every moment, whatever's going on around you, they want you to find that center, that peace, that purpose for that moment. Because once you do that, that's how you move forward more consistently. Because when you get good at this, then you'll stop struggling and you'll always have a purpose, meaning you'll always have a center of attraction. You'll always have a focus of peace that you are now relating to the world. And so those four walls become that peace, become purpose, become a way to focus on what your soul's assignment is in this moment. And ultimately, your soul's assignment is for you to be happy, for you to have peace and fulfillment and joy, because for each one of us that does, this resonates throughout the oneness, which means we all are affected by this, okay? And benefit from it, better word. And let's take a look at the card for the beginning of the week. Okay. Now just thinking about that word I saw, because I saw it here, I saw it like a staircase, and I'm going to forget this one. Oh, it was a window, but one of the panes was missing. Okay, so here, this is this feeling like, the whole world is against you. This is exactly what we were just talking about. And this whole idea of self, and when you feel like you're against the entire world, this is ego. But what this moment is really, because the sevens are about reevaluation and discovery, what this is really about is that you've reached, in the six, you just, had a victory moment, and you reached a level of success, and everybody was supporting you. But what happens is afterwards, we tend to think that we're not good enough. How did I get here? And now how do I maintain it? And then we end up turning the world against us. So those four walls now become a prison. And what it's really meant to do is for you to think about what you've done and now where you want to take it and push it a little bit further. Because it's never just done. It keeps growing, the assignment for you. And so how can you shift this all around? And I like this card because there's these little blossoms here at the bottom. You can see that here things are growing. So there's a room for growth here. And so where you need to focus for yourself, so to put it in practical terms now, and less in the spiritual language, is where do you have room for growth? Where can you grow? So instead of being feeling inadequate because you maybe have recognized that you have some things that you still need to learn, and now you're turning that on yourself, and now you see it in everybody else. You think that they're thinking the same thing. But when everybody sees you as really being the person, who's always on top, but you're worried about staying on top. So instead of being worried or frightened, why don't you focus on where you think you need to improve? And if you think that, why don't you start planning how you can do that, how you can do that for the benefit of everyone else, as a service. All right, so let's take a look at this card. And this is the two of Wands. Isn't that interesting? I thought that was a different card. Okay, so this is the Two of Wands, and this makes sense because, here we go, this is about, she's sitting in her car, and she's trying to, she's looking at her map, trying to figure out where she's going, checking her compass, making sure she's on the right track. Instead of just keep plowing along, she took a little break and said, okay, let me make sure I know what I'm doing here. And this is just so in line with what I just said in this card. And the staircase that I saw is, for me, is a sign of ascension or moving up in some way. So this is an opportunity for you to move up, to increase to increase something for yourself, to offer yourself more advantages than you had beforehand. So this isn't to have the wisdom to do this isn't going backwards. This is actually going with the flow and upward. Okay, so you're listening. And so don't be afraid to review your plans, like we're moving from 7 back to 2, and it feels like you're going backwards. But, it's almost like in the first stages, sometimes you need to always keep use the logic of progression of things, so that, sometimes if you get to a certain point and you feel like something's not right, then go back to one of those earlier steps and maybe rework that step. And that's all that's saying right here, is that maybe you need to go back and rework that step, or apply that earlier step to where you are now. That this is a tool that will serve you well right now. So what is it that you've got in your head that you need that's not good enough? And how can you go back and sort of rework this? First of all, you need to reframe it for yourself so that you can actually benefit from this awareness. So you need to put it in a different frame of mind. Again, focusing on peace. Center yourself in peace and a purpose that is of peace. Something that will benefit you, so that your mind is working in alignment with your heart. Because right now your mind is working against you. You're imagining things. All right, let's take a look at this card, which is the Lover's card. And this was the window pane. Now, window panes for me are a symbol of opportunity. But it was like this, and it was the one on the lower left that was either broken or something missing. So there's an opportunity here, but there's a piece of this that you're missing. And this card would say that in some way something is coming together. This is a card about, either love or health and well-being, but a sense of completion, wholeness, balance in some way. So it's possible that there's just one area of your life that you need to bring into wholeness, that you need to, work and to bring balance to. It could be that this area of your life that's triggering all of this could be in your love life, or a relationship with someone, or with your higher self, that you need to really. Maybe you're not, let's say, as a blanket example, it's not the only way, but meditating. Maybe you're not, your spiritual practice is being forsaken in some way, and that you need to sort of bridge that relationship with yourself on a daily basis, with you and your higher self, in order to really be able to get the clarity and the peace of mind that you need to see things through the eyes of love, to see things through the perspective of source, okay? So, all right, let's take a look at the card. And boy, our Knight of Cups keeps coming back. And it just keeps giving us this sense of, first of all, taking it easy and really focus on what you're passionate about. Don't waste your time fighting yourself, because that's what you're doing when you waste your time fighting with other people or fighting with conditions. You're just fighting yourself, because it is your belief systems that is creating the fight. Because it's the reason, it's coloring the way you see things. It's coloring the fight that you see. It's shaping the fight that you're seeing. And so I'm just seeing a butterfly right now, and you're going through a huge process of changes. This is a period of transformation for you. They're writing the word Hierophant, so the transformations are happening on your deep belief systems. There are just really deep-rooted belief systems, and they're writing the word shuffle, like these things are shuffling right now. So you're going to feel more uncertain and in the dark than ever. But the thing is, at the center, the focus of all of this is your eternal peace. And that peace will give you the balance, help you to see, to reframe the arguments, if you will, so that you can find a resolution. And they wrote an energy resolution. So you can find an energy resolution, because it's about the energy resolution that will help you to get moving and help you to really know what the fire is communicating to you, what your heart flame is communicating to you. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and thank you for being through this entire reading with me. and thank you for understanding about my voice and all these things. But I've never, even when my mom passed, I've never skipped a video. So I hope that I'm always well enough to always do them. So if you're looking for an angel reading, feel free to contact me at theangelschool.com. Again, that I will be, not doing readings this week, but probably the week after I should be fine. So you can set up appointment. It's best to always set up an appointment a few weeks in advance anyway. So if you're still looking for an angel reading, you can contact me at theangelschool.com. And this week I will take a rest on the daily card messages, but I'll continue them in the following week. So God bless you all, and have a beautiful and positive week.